These are the top 10 things you need to take note when coming to Singapore. First off, why should you listen to me? Because I am a Singaporean who has stayed here my entire life. 27 years to be exact. I often travel out of Singapore, so I know what it's like to be going to a country that I have never been to and just feeling like I don't know any shit. But I hope at the end of this video you can take away a couple of things that can help you make your travel a lot smoother here in Singapore. Before carrying on to the video, remember to subscribe because it's free, and to thank you for subscribing, here's a picture of me during my army days, probably the fittest and thinnest period of my life. So getting to the first point number 1, Singapore arrival card and visas. At the point of filming this video on the 4th of June 2023, entering Singapore will need you to fill up the SG arrival card, or SGAC, or SGAC for short. This card is basically a declaration whether if you have any symptoms of COVID and also the estimated date of arrival. You can fill up this card within 3 days prior to the date of your arrival in Singapore. For example, if you are entering Singapore on the 6th, best to do it on the 3rd. You can even do it on the 5th or even the same day itself. I've included a link down below to the exact one by ICA, which is a government website. If you want to Google search it, search ICA Singapore SG arrival card. Do double check the link, it will have a gov.sg at the end of the link. Also, if you do not fill this card up, there are a couple of QR codes just before the immigration at the airport for you to fill it up. And if you think you can skip it, you can't, because you won't be able to scan in or chop in because all the forms are recorded in the system. So even if you are a Singaporean, it will deny entry until the form has been done. Side note, if you fill up the form just before immigration, do give it around 5 to 10 minutes for it to go into the system. If you try it immediately, you might just get denied entry again. So do take note of that and just do it early. All foreign visitors will be required to fill this up, even for Singaporeans. However, Singaporeans, PRs and long-term pass holders, we are exempted, but only from land travel only. Also, do double check if you require a visa to enter Singapore. Here is a list of countries that will require a visa. If not, do double check with your country's embassy website. Singapore do not provide on-arrival visa, so do take note of that. Point number 2, dress for the weather. If you're coming from a country with winter all year round, or if you love the heat and the sun, Singapore is your go-to country. Year round, we experience temperatures of up to 35 degrees or more recently 37 degrees in the central region. Not only does it get hot, it gets super humid, and I can just start sweating by sitting in this chair with a fan full blast at my direction. So yes, dress for the weather because it does get quite hot and often. With that being said, Singapore is a tropical country, so even though we experience loads of sun, the rain may just come out of a sudden. Also, do be prepared for that by bringing an umbrella along, because you may just be trapped under a shelter with nowhere to go. What I usually wear is just a t-shirt and jeans or shorts, but that alone, walking for 10 minutes can already cause me to sweat. However, Singapore is crowded with multiple shopping centers, so we have air-conditioned sheltered places almost anywhere. Ultimately, dress comfortably, bring umbrella and probably dry tissues to wipe your sweat. Point number 3, public transport and get an EZ-Link card. Unpopular opinion, and to be honest, I am rather proud of this one. Though it has its quirks, I would say Singapore's public transport has got to be one of the best in the world. In fact, it's actually ranked 6 in the entire world. And I think some Singaporeans will be burning me in the comments. I mean, we did have a couple of bad breakdowns in the past few years. Unfortunately, Singapore can't afford to give free public transport, just as Luxembourg who scraped all fares in 2020. So the best way to pay for this public transport is to get a preloaded card called an EZ-Link card. Top up certain amount and just tap away. Alternatively, you can activate your credit cards for overseas usage and just tap with your phone or your smartwatches. But of course, you will need to pay for the conversion rates on your card. But the ease to just tap without getting an additional card is quite tempting, even for me when I'm overseas. So yeah, you can get these cards at the MRT stations or some shops at the airport itself. These cards are also an option for payment at certain vending machines or stores such as 7-Eleven. So if you ever top up too much, just pay at the convenience store with the card. Point number 4, multicultural society. Singapore is a multiracial country with 4 main races: Chinese, Malay, Tamil and Eurasians. There are also a multitude of other races you can find, such as Indonesians, Vietnamese, Thais, and Filipinos. Now let's talk about the unique districts that we have for each of the 4 main races. Firstly, we got Chinatown, where you can immerse yourself in Chinese cultural traditions and mouth-watering food. Then there's Little India, a vibrant and colourful neighbourhood bursting with Indian culture, aromatic spices and authentic cuisine. Kampong Glam, a charming area known for its Malay heritage and traditional shops. And last but not least, we have Katong for the Eurasians. And yes, I had to Google for that one. Now let's address an important topic: racial discrimination. Thankfully, the level of discrimination in Singapore is relatively low. Sure, you might encounter a few ignorant individuals stirring up trouble every now and then, but overall, we respect each other's culture. It's part of what makes Singapore so special. So when you visit, come with an open heart and an open mind. Engage with the diverse communities, learn from their traditions, and celebrate the beauty of our multicultural society. Point number 5, explore hawker centers and tissues on the table. So let me tell you about one unique practice that might seem puzzling to foreigners: the art of chopping a table with tissue paper. You see, in our bustling food courts and hawker centers where delicious local dishes are served, it can get quite crowded. So now, picture this. You're ready to order your favorite plate of chicken rice or your mouth-watering laksa, but there's not a single empty table in sight. That's where the tissue paper chopping magic comes in. We have devised a simple yet effective method to reserve tables. So here's how it works. When someone leaves the table, they may place a pack of tissue paper or a packet of wet wipes on the table to indicate that it's occupied. It's a way of saying that the table is taken. This unspoken agreement allows others to respect the reservation and wait for their turn. You might wonder why tissue paper specifically? Well, it's readily available, lightweight, and easily recognizable. It's also a practical solution in a busy environment where people are constantly searching for seats. Some people also use their work pass as well as another form of chopping. And now that you're in on this secret, go ahead and embrace the tissue paper culture. Point number 6, be mindful of local laws. If you have been researching about Singapore, you have probably known that strict laws are synonymous to Singapore. I do agree to a certain extent that some of these are a little bit cuckoo, so let me name 2 of it so you don't go breaking the law. First off, chewing gum ban. To be honest, this is kind of dumb, but I thought the issue lies with the people that just could not throw it properly. Yes, Singapore bans chewing gum, citing the main reason of high cost of cleaning it up. Back then, it was littered everywhere around housing estates, and apparently one of the government body reportedly spent 150,000 Singapore dollars annually to clean up chewing gum litter. And when you think about it, if people just throw it properly into the dustbin, problem solved. Secondly, no jaywalking. You see a street in your way without a traffic light? Sorry, you can't cross it. You'll be fined of up to $500 for your first time and up to a maximum of $2,000 or 6 months in jail. So yeah, imagine entering the cell and your cellmates asking what you in for. I crossed the street illegally. So yes, jaywalking is illegal. However, as a Singaporean, I can neither confirm nor deny that this law is strictly enforced, cause I can neither confirm or deny that many of us have done it on multiple attempts, and apparently some even in front of police cars. So cross at your own risk. These 2 are the many of the other laws that we have here in Singapore, and just to name a few more stupid ones: no walking around your home naked, no feeding of pigeons, no connecting to another person's Wi-Fi without permission, no eating or drinking on public transport. So doing so, you'll be fined or even a jail term. Point number 7, Singapore is relatively safe. And in the words of my wife, who is a Vietnamese staying here for over 10 years, I will give Singapore an 8.5/10 in terms of safety. And when it comes to traveling to Singapore, it's important to know that overall it is a safe destination with a relatively low crime rate. Singapore's reputation as a safe country is largely due to its strong emphasis on public safety. You will find well-lit streets, security cameras in public areas, and a visible police presence. With that being said, it's important to exercise basic precautions as you would when traveling to any unfamiliar destinations. If you do not believe me, check this guy out who left his laptop unattended at a Starbucks for an hour. Overall, Singapore is considered a safe destination for travelers and even for solo female travelers, in my opinion. Point number 8, expensive country equals expensive food, but we do have cheap food. You might be thinking hawker food like Lau Pa Sat, Satay by the Bay, or Maxwell Food Centre. No, all these are touristified. All prices have been probably jacked up to suck your money from your wallets. There are a multitude of other food centres that provide less than $5 a meal, and if you aren't a big eater like me, you can easily be filled up. Especially if you are planning to eat pratas, which is a type of flatbread originated from Indian cuisine, and it can be as cheap as 90 cents per slice, or even cheaper. And according to the Straits Times, the main news outlet in Singapore, they actually did a research on the 14th of March 2023, really recent, in search of the cheapest meal in Singapore, which averaged about $2 for breakfast and $2.80 for lunch and dinner. Point number 9, where to stay in Singapore. I swear this point alone can be an entire video on its own, so if you want me to deep dive into this, comment down below. And if you haven't already know, my wife and I have done a couple of videos regarding hotels around Singapore. Be sure to check that out. But the gist of it is that the cheapest area you can probably get would be the Geylang area up to the Kallang area. These are budget hotels and hostels which are not necessarily the safest place in Singapore. Safest. But they are cheap and can range from about a low of $100 per night. Of course, the main area will be Marina Bay area or along Orchard Road, which we have done a plethora of hotel reviews along Orchard Road. Alternatively, staying on the outskirts of the city area would be like Novena and Newton, which may cost more than the Geylang Kallang area, but definitely cheaper than the main areas. I will not really dive too deep on this because I would think an in-depth video would really benefit many of you guys, especially being a hotel review travel channel, so comment down below if you want one. Point number 10, follow etiquette in public places. There are a lot of unsaid rules around Singapore, and being a Singaporean, I'll probably know most of them, and I'm going to tell you the 3 most important ones that I feel a traveler coming to Singapore would want to know. So first off, staying on the left of the escalator. Yes, in Singapore, we keep left even on roads. Overtaking is usually on the right, except for a couple of assholes. Since majority of us are raised conservatively, we probably won't tell you that you are in the wrong. Even some locals will stand on the right, and the person behind probably will not even tap his or her shoulders that he or her is in the way. So just keep left. Secondly, noise level. Singapore is generally a quiet place. Even on public transport, noise are usually kept at a minimum even though no one is telling you to lower your volume. It also occurs to me that sometimes there will be trains packed with people and there will be a lot of chatter. People usually just conform, so if you don't hear noise, keep your volume low. If you do, go crazy. And lastly, tipping. This is not a customary to any businesses in Singapore. Of course, some people will be happy to accept the tip while others will be hesitant. However, if you receive exceptional service, by all means, a small tip is always welcome. And point bonus. Grab, Gojek, Tada, and Ride. If you're watching this, I will place my bet that the majority of you watching are either amongst these 5 countries: India, US, Indonesia, Philippines, or Australia. Because apart from Singapore, these are the top 5 countries in my analytics. But in any case that you need to take a taxi, we have a couple of different applications. Unfortunately for my Western viewers, Grab Singapore has bought over Uber a few years ago and is no longer operational here. But Grab is safe and really efficient and probably the most popular amongst the others. Apart from taxi, it does food delivery as well and an assortment of other things which you probably won't need. Gojek and Tada is also an alternative you can consider, mostly for rides. It gives Grab a competitive edge for the pricing. So this is the end of the video. I hope this pointers has helped you one way or another. Do remember to like, share and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.